Hello, 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 and welcome. I am Shane Moore, and I will be here for the next 3 hours taking your questions and comments, personal experiences in the paranormal, unexplained, and mysterious. Welcome to Texas Live. Tonight we'll be talking about is latent DNA responsible for human anomalies and unexplained phenomena? Could it be that the 97% of junk DNA, as they call it, is being activated? And if so, what is activating it? What are the ramifications of it being activated? And why does it seem like that it is being hidden from us, covered up? It's not talked about. Anyone that talks about DNA being activated or the sacred geometry of DNA, how DNA seems to be the blueprint of the cosmos, reality itself. What is DNA? What is the deal with DNA? I believe that DNA is the key that will unlock the mysteries, that is, of all the unexplained phenomena and origins of various anomalies such as Rh negative blood. That seems to be the hot topic. So, kick back, relax, and join me for the next 3 hours or however long you can, and feel free to take part in our live chat. I highly encourage you to. That makes this show so much better. Anyway, I'm going to take a short break and allow listeners who want to join our live chat to do so. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back in 3 minutes.
Oh, I need you, how I need you by my side, and I want you. The Lord may know that I have tried to be honest, to be naked, unashamed. I want to know you more, I really want to know you more. And it ain't easy to get back on your feet again, and I hold on sooner or later. Tell me when, everlasting. No, my desire is a burden and a blessing, and a burden and a blessing, and I feel lonely when I'm drifting out tonight, and I'm homeless without a single land in sight. What I need is to feel the ground beneath my feet. I wanna know you more, I really wanna know you more. And it ain't easy to get back on your feet again, and I hold out sooner or later. Tell me when, everlasting. No, my desire is a burden and a blessing, and a burden and a blessing, and a by my side. And I want you, the Lord may know that I have tried. To be honest, to be naked, unashamed, I wanna know you more. I really wanna know you more, and I wanna know you more. I really wanna know you more, and it ain't easy to get back on your feet again. And I hold out sooner or later. Tell me when, everlasting. No, my desire is a burden and a blessing, and 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 a
Okay, and I am back. Hello, Mona. For those of you that are new listeners, Mona is my fiance, and I'm glad you're here. One's a lonely number. I love you. Thank you for all you do behind the scenes. I appreciate it, and I know the listeners do too. Anyway, we'll be talking about latent DNA. It's an enigma. It is crazy. I mean, we only use 3% of our DNA. 3%. And it's as if, how does that work? In my way of thinking is, why couldn't we have gotten the 97%? And how about the 3% be the latent or the junk DNA? I have no idea, but that is a huge that's a huge chunk of tremendous information that we are missing out on. And when I say tremendous amount of information, it's unimaginable. It's just beyond me. In fact, it is my belief that our DNA transcends time and space, and that genetic memory, or whatever, however you want to describe it or word it, is responsible for many things, such as dreams, visions, deja vu, especially deja vu. And it is, I guess you could say, it's a glitch in the matrix. And when it happens to you, it's profound. It really gets your attention. I've been here before. And with me, I try to stay in the moment. I try to stay in the moment. I take my time. I look at my surroundings, and the more I look, I pick up little bits and pieces. It's very strange because that's how information comes to me. I wish it was like a well-produced, directed movie. Unfortunately, it comes to me in pieces, like a film reel that has been thrown into a wood chipper. And it's like I have to take the pieces and put them together like a puzzle. Also, there's different ways that this information is conveyed to us, and that is by our subconscious. The language of the subconscious, which would be the language of symbolism. And that's why that I believe that the powers that be, those who currently hold the power, because he who holds the knowledge has the power. Knowledge is power. And they hold it. But it is amazing how that knowledge is hidden in plain sight. We see it every day. We just don't recognize it. When you begin to see it, when you begin to recognize it, it can be overwhelming. It can really wreak havoc on you. Some call it being enlightened or ascension, which I don't really like the word ascension, because ascension basically means the rising up. Ascension to me is moving to another level. And unfortunately, as long as we're here in this 4-dimensional world, the fourth dimension being time, which we will talk a lot about time tonight, we are confined to this 3-dimensional body that is our vehicle to get us around in this 3-dimensional material world. As Madonna made that song. Well, it was Material Girl, but she lived in a material world. And isn't it amazing that symbolism is the language of the subconscious? And many, many years ago, it was discovered that music was a prime way to affect the subconscious, to mind control on a level that we will probably not really ever be told by the powers that be. But nevertheless, it's there, and it's tremendously powerful. Via music, the spoken word, and that's what the Bible talks about. The Bible is very, very big on the spoken word. It says, in the beginning, God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God said, and there was. And God said, and there was. And God said, and God spoke, and God said, and the spoken word. So it's very powerful and very influential. Also, when television came out, they found that it was even more powerful and just it made radio look like child's play. So they began to put things in, put the symbolism in, and nobody knew. Nobody had any idea that was going on. This was in what, the 50s, late 40s, early 50s when TV came out. That's amazing to think about. Hey, Nezreen, glad you joined us. That's amazing to think. I was born in 68, so that means that like 18 years before I was born is when TV came out. Man, I feel old. But they actually used television for mind control. There's no doubt about that. Matter of fact, you can look up the patent number. I don't have it in front of me, but you can look up the patent number. You can Google it. And you'll see where the government has a patent on the television. For what? Mind control. But something happened in the early 80s that some brilliant mind came up with and said, hey, why don't we make it even more powerful? Why don't we join music and television and call it MTV and have a movie or a short movie or film with song. And then there's Thriller. Remember that? Remember how really creepy Michael Jackson looked when he was in Thriller? I mean, he looked creepy. And also, there's so many repetitive, I don't know, it's like they're drilling it in. They go overboard. And people don't care because they get so caught up in it and so they're enthusiastic about it. But what is the deal with the with the zombie apocalypse and things like that? I mean, what is the deal with it? It is just completely crazy. It is absolutely this zombie craze. I mean, they're gross. And there's people that are buying like zombie dolls for their children. You know, they've got eyeballs hanging out and their teeth are like jagged and broken, and like when I was a kid, yeah, I wouldn't have played with a zombie G.I. Joe. I mean, maybe. I was a weird kid. Maybe I would have. But these now, they are so realistic. It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Just, matter of fact, they make the dolls so utterly realistic. The silicone. We have a call coming in. We take the call. Well, they can kill back. Or I'll call them back. This is a listener on one of my platforms. Let me call and see what's going on. Hello? Hello? I can barely hear you.
Yeah, I'm in California.
Okay. We got an echo here. Hold on just a second.
Your podcast live on YouTube or is it just on a phone?
What now?
Your podcast, is it live on YouTube or is it just on the phone?
It's live right now. Matter of fact, you're live right now with me. So,
Oh, okay.
um,
Ignore that. I can't talk right now because of where I'm staying, so
okay. Well, just
right?
you can feel free to join our live chat with the live link that I sent you, and just you comment all you want.
Okay, I clicked on there. It just took me right back to the, to your homepage on YouTube.
Yes, uh huh.
Should I just click on the highlighted part that you sent and I should be able to listen in?
Yes, yes. Just
Okay.
click on that live link, and it'll bring you right to the show.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, that was a listener. She has a wealth of information that she wants to share about this very thing, about the DNA, and how that it seems like that when the latent DNA is activated, like I said, you can call it ascension, you can call it enlightenment or whatever, but there is a price that is paid. It's plain and simple. Many people say, man, everything has just gone to hell since I started this spiritual journey. And I'm like, well, you better get used to it because it gets worse. Some people say, well, I've lost everything. Well, that's right. It's like a story, or actually a parable, in a movie with Anthony Hopkins. Love that guy. He is a master at his work. It was the movie about the gorillas, where he lives with the gorillas or whatever, and it's Anthony Hopkins, Cuba Gooding Jr. Cuba Gooding Jr. is the scientist or whatever that thinks he knows everything, and they come in to this natural sanctuary, peaceful sanctuary, where Anthony Hopkins has left society and he is living in peace with the gorillas, with the apes. And Cuba Gooding Jr. and his team, they come in and I can't stand this, but they shoot some of the gorillas, and I'm like, why couldn't it be people? People probably did something in their life, or were presently doing something that they may have deserved a bullet. Maybe not to die, but, they might have deserved a bullet. And I'm kidding. I'm just trying to make this not so gloom and doom. But an animal's innocent. It's like I used to watch movies and, I'd see people get killed or, whatever. Didn't bother me. But let a dog get killed? Oh, man. Oof. That's why I cannot stand, and Mona knows what I'm going to say, cannot stand the first John Wick. They killed his dog at the very beginning of the movie. I said, I'm out. I do not like this movie. I hate it. And John Wick 3's out now, or coming out. And I just can't get over the dog in the first movie. It's like, Keanu, I love you, man, but why? Why the dog? I don't know. It's probably the only thing that he's ever done or been a part of that I just cannot stand. But since it's Keanu, I'll bite the bullet, but not happily. Not at all. And it was just, if it was me and someone had a gun to my head and said, okay, it's either you or your dog, I'd say, man, pull the trigger on my head. Do not hurt my dog. Number one, because my dog is a Chihuahua with an attitude of a rhinoceros on steroids that's been baptized in lemonade. I mean, this little dude is aggravated. I mean, he wakes up in a mood that a bad mood would be an improvement. He is just, he's a little jerk. I better shut up because they say that dogs are like their owners. So, and he became Mona's dog. So, I'm kidding, baby. Do not kill me, okay? Do not kill me. Anyway, back to Anthony Hopkins, the movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. Anthony Hopkins, they think he's lost his mind or he's out of it. So they have him in shackles, and they have him on a table, chained to a table. His legs are shackled to the floor, and Cuba Gooding Jr. comes in all, Dapper Dan, what, I don't even know the terminology they use anymore, but he was just, he was a geek, a nerd, by the book, by the rules. I don't have anything against rules, but I do have a lot against excessive rules and unnecessary rules. The way I look at it is that the only rule that needs to be followed, that could be followed, if it was followed, the world would be a much better place. And that's the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. That's the whole of the law. It takes care of everything. But people, they don't get it. They don't do it. It's not rocket science. Which brings me to a very humorous message I got the other day. There's this gentleman that sent me a message and said that he said, talking about hanging in there, he said about my speech impediment. And I'm still getting these messages from people, some lovely women, and I'm thinking, man, I mean, I can see some guys, some young guys or whatever that, get a kick out of, uh, making fun of somebody or whatever. But for a woman, for a grown woman to just, it's beyond me. But I thanked her. I thanked her for her great kindness. And she, I just basically told her, I said, hey, if you can't take it, just turn the dial, go somewhere else. I'm not forcing you to listen. And today I got a message from a woman. She says, you need to shut up. That's how she started out. You need to shut up. Quit talking about things you don't know when you're not even RH negative. When you don't even have RH negative blood. And she said, because people that don't have RH negative blood, they have no right to be talking about RH negative blood. And I'm thinking, repeat yourself much? So I nicknamed her Pete. Repeat. Anyway, so I told her, I said, well, thank you for that. In the Dr. Phil fashion, thank you for that. Said, but that's proof positive that you didn't listen to the podcast. You didn't even listen to, I don't know, the first 15 minutes. Because if you had, you would know that's one of the first things I talked about was I'm RH null. And I told her, I said, null means 0, nothing, which is also known as negative. I said, 1 is positive, 0 is nothing, zilch. Negative. And I just told her, I said, I would greatly appreciate your guidance in correcting me or showing me where I'm wrong in what I've said. And I just basically told her, I said, I don't want anyone to believe what I say just because I say it. I want them to do their own research, or at least listen to me and make up their own minds. Don't just take my word for it. Make up your own mind. And if you don't agree with me, it doesn't mean that you have to hate me. I mean, I don't hate you. So, just, and this woman, if she's listening, she probably is, I have no animosity towards you. And I'm not being rude to you or anything. I would like to be your friend. So just, pipe it down there a little bit. And who knows, maybe we can be friends. But one thing I'm not going to put up with is I'm not going to put up with rudeness. Which is nothing more than ignorance. And it's probably not your fault. And that's why that I'm going to let it slide. And I'm offering an olive branch so we can be friends. But that your tone, your words, your behavior, really, it's not welcomed. So keep that in mind. And if it happens again, I will block you. and I won't think twice about it. And if you don't believe me, just try me. Anyway, what does DNA stand for exactly? It is deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay, we all know that. RNA, ribonucleic acid. Did you know that DNA is constantly 24/7? It is making the proteins from the amino acids. It's completely nonstop with their letters, the A, G, C, T. RNA is A, C, T, U. I need to check that really quick. Mona, could you check that just so I can be sure? I kind of went blank there. We got so much here. RNA is made up of. Could you give me the letters? Because I know that RNA has the U in place of, I think it's guanine, but I'm not for sure. Anyway, turns out that RNA is an error corrector. It is literally in charge, like a backup computer, that is making sure that if there is a mistake made in the sequence of what the DNA is doing, if there's a mistake made in the sequence, the RNA corrects it. Now, Dr. James Gates, the physicist in, I believe it's Maryland, Johns Hopkins University, I believe. Okay, the strand of RNA can be thought of as a chain with a nucleotide at each chain link. Each nucleotide is made up of a base, adenine, cytosine, guanine, and uracil, typically abbreviated as ACGU. Okay. Well, ACG. Okay, the T is what was missing. Forgive me for that. Okay, so the primary is the DNA. Yes, Mona, uracil is what I was thinking of. And it is a ribose sugar and a phosphate. Now think about that. Think about that word, a phosphate. Mona, are you sure that that's a phosphate, or is it and phosphate? Just checking, because what I'm about to say is very important. And please just bear with me, because I want to be sure. I want to be absolutely sure with what I say, so not to lead anybody astray or give them the wrong information or whatever. But it is okay. All right. Phosphate. What does that, what is phosphate? It's Luminance. What's another word for luminance? It's light. Light. What is DNA? DNA is information. It's literally data. Okay? Literally data. So it's made up of these base. Okay, aphosphate. That's what I thought. Thank you. So it's made up of these bases, nucleotide, or sequences of adenine, cytosine, guanine, and uracil for DNA, RNA. I'm sorry, that's RNA. No, that's fine, Mona. That's fine. Don't worry about it. And then the DNA has the T, which is okay. I believe it's tyrosine. Mona, could you give me the DNA too? I'm just I am not remembering what these bases are. I know the letters, but I'm not remembering what the actual bases are. So if you could, please give me the bases for the DNA also, please. And I know that it's just the T that's missing, the tyrosine, I believe, tyrosine or whatever. But the phosphate is light. And that light is the light that is talked about in the Bible. Because when you think about it, it says thymine. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Mona. DNA is made up of molecules called nucleotides. Each nucleotide contains a phosphate group, a sugar group, and an antidrin, and a nitrin base. Both these A's are running together. It's confusing me. Anyway, the four types of nitrogen bases are adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. The order of these bases is what determines DNA's instructions or its genetic code. Now, stop and think about this. These codes, these sequences, the order, we're talking about a four-letter sequence. It's like, how many different sequences can you have with four bases? Well, enough. There are 20. I said there's 22 amino acids. Actually, 20. There's two that act as a beginning, or literally, they act as a start and end, just like a computer. The sequence starts, the sequence ends. So that's 22 amino acids that make up, that's the total. Okay, there's 22 Hebrew letters. 22 Hebrew letters. And they're whoppers. I mean, they are loaded with so much information. The three mother letters, as they call them, is what would be A, M, and S to us. A, M, and S. Actually, it's S-H. Shh. It's Mem, M-E-M, and it looks like Shin, but it's actually Sheen, S-H-I-N, and then the A is actually, I believe it is Ain. Let me check that real quick, because I don't want to mislead anybody on this. I wasn't even planning on going here tonight, but I'm going to now because I just feel I'm being led that way. And usually when that happens, there's a reason for it. That somebody needs to hear it. Okay. Yes. It is Ayn. A-Y-I-N. Meaning I. So, like eyeball. So you have A-M-S. Mem means water, and Shin actually means tooth. But Shin is shaped like a three-tiered crown. Shin is, when it's laid on its side, it's actually has 4 tiers. It's called the 3-in-1, which is it's the form or the blueprint of what we would call the Trinity. Excuse me. So it is the crown. It is also called its symbol or its element is fire. Mem is water and Ain is air. So, let me read this here. And it is actually, the Hebrew letter Sheen is actually the heart. Talking about the heart, the spirit, whatever. So it's very, very powerful. Okay. Alright. The letter has the meanings of teeth or tooth, and It also means sharp, press, eat, or two. The number 2. So it was also said that since it had 3 tiers or 3 peaks, that it was somehow a blueprint of Mount Hermon, where the Nephilim, where the Watchers came down, were sent by God, supposedly, to watch over the affairs of mankind, and they chose to go down and mate with human women, and they produced these hybrids, which were the Nephilim, and there's been such a resurgence of the term Nephilim, and if you watch TV, you have satellite cable, whatever, these movies are coming out about Nephilim. Nephilim means the fallen. And it's talking about those who fell from spirit into flesh. They forsook their first estate, which was spirit, which is the true power. And because of that, God said they would never be forgiven. So that should be a big, big message to us, that spirit, and not our body, not our bodies, but our spirits are ultimately, unimaginably, the most important thing when it's between the spirit and the body. You are spirit, you're not your body. You're a spirit having a bodily experience. But these entities, I believe, they used a highly advanced technology. I don't believe it was like they just cast a spell and became men. I think it was something like artificial intelligence. They said, hey, let's, somehow they were able to put their spirits, their consciousness, whatever you want to call it, into bodies. And they went down from Mount Hermon and took wives, any which they chose. Now, if you think about that, there was a prophecy in the Garden of Eden, and God said that the Messiah would come through the woman. Okay, well, isn't it strange that what these angels, what these fallen angels did was they impregnated the human women. Why would they do that? Well, my best guess, I believe that it was their purpose was to infect the gene pool. And if they had succeeded, then the Messiah, Jesus Christ, whatever you want to call him, would have never been born pure or holy, would have been tainted, would have been poisoned by the blood or the genetics, by the Watcher genes. And let's face it, since women had children by the Watchers that had incarnated into human men, there had to be some compatibility there, which is why I believe that, and this is going to be very controversial, but I believe that is where the Rh negative blood type comes from. Now keep in mind, not all of the Watchers were evil or were fallen angels. Just the 200 that were apparently stationed on Mount Hermon, the 3 peaked, the largest mountain range in Jerusalem, in Israel, on the Israeli, Syrian, and Lebanese border, and it is huge. And I would like to add that it's amazing that at the peak where it's been said that these angels made their oath to take on flesh and abandon their spirituality, their true selves. At the highest peak of Mount Hermon, there is a relatively new United Nations base that has been built there. The exact peak where it said that these angels did the unthinkable. So, and I believe that the UN, since they're global, I believe that they're going to be a major part of the new world order that is not, it's not quack talk anymore. It's not conspiracy theory, it's conspiracy fact. And I believe that the UN is going to use their soldiers to implement this system, this global political, religious system. And it will be the beast system. I also believe that the 5G network has something to do with this, because it also, the 5G affects DNA. So watch out. You know, it's gonna get crazy. So, but it is, I don't know. It is like a screenplay has been written. It's like, you know, hey Patricia, no, it's fine. I'm just glad you're here. It's like a screenplay has been written. And it's like Shakespeare said, the world is a stage and we are merely players, actors. We're all playing our role. And if you think about that, you think about the simulation theory, like the real matrix. Wow. Could it be? Could it be that when the Bible says it is written, when Jesus said it is written, all these things must come to pass as it is written? Could it be that God is the writer of the ultimate screenplay? Maybe it's maybe the title that we don't know is like Life 101, or something like that, or jokes on them. I mean, you've got to keep a sense of humor about this. Anyway, I'm going to take a short break, and I'll be right back, and we will continue this discussion about how all this fits together, and we'll get more into how this latent DNA may be being activated. Be right back.
I can't tell what's wrong or right. Should I go without saying goodbye? All I know is I need to be somewhere else to set me free. I don't know what to do now. Need to figure it out, but I don't know how. I hope the wind will carry me and take me away to where I should be. I don't know where I belong, but I keep on searching for my home. There's a hunger in my soul, makes me keep on trying, holding on. Take me all the way, all the way. Take me all the way, and I keep on searching for my home. Oh, I wonder if there's a place where the sun won't go away. Wide awake with an open mind, looking out from a mountain high. I don't know what to do now, need to figure it out, but I don't know how. I hope the wind will carry me and take me away to where I should be. I don't know where I belong, but I keep on searching for my home. There's a hunger in my soul, makes me keep on trying, holding on. Take me all the way, all the way. Take me all the way, and I keep on searching for my home. I'm searching, yeah.
And I am back. So, what could be activating latent DNA or junk DNA? Does anybody have any idea, have a guess on what could be doing that? Because if you look at the Rh negative blood, that blood is the last thing that would mutate, and it would take hundreds of I don't know, thousands of years for that mutation to take place. So it's like, what's going on here? Because if the blood is changed, say a person gets the wrong blood, they die. That's how important the blood is. They just die. So the blood would be the last thing to mutate. It seems very strange, but that's the truth. And for that to happen, it would, like I said, it would take hundreds of thousands of years. And they're saying that this anomaly, this mutation, this whatever, seemingly occurred overnight in the whole looking at history. It's like a recent thing. Some say 35,000 years ago, which is just a drop in the hat when you think about it. Definitely it is something that is absolutely mind-boggling. And that would be like yesterday or last week when you talk about the entirety of history. I read where since the Big Bang, that if it were placed, I believe it was, if the 13.8 billion years of the universe was placed in, I believe it was a day or maybe even a year, said that something like that human history would make up less than 1 second of the total history. We tend to think of ourselves as showing up, a few years after the Big Bang. And that's not the case. It's like we were late to the show. It's like it's unbelievable how little we have been around, how we have been existed, or been around, or it's crazy. I certainly thought that it was longer, but I was wrong. Anyway, what are your thoughts on that? On the on how we are newcomers to the game. We're certainly not seasoned veterans, are we? I think that we have a lot to learn, and it's like I've said before, I don't believe that this is the first timeline. I don't believe that Adam and Eve, or the creation, the story of creation, I don't believe that's the base timeline, or when mankind actually started. I believe that there have been many, well, not many, but I believe that there's been at least 5 previous existences or lives, well, not lives, but history, and the only way I can, timeline, but not timelines like time travel or anything like that. It's I believe that there's been 5 planetary extinctions. Yep. I believe that the Earth has been wiped out 5 times. And after the 6th time, it will be, that will be it. You know, because it is like, it's like we have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the Sabbath, which is Saturday. The Sabbath is not Sunday. Rome changed the Sabbath to Sunday, and in direct opposition to the Word of God that they say that they follow and that they believe and they teach. I don't know about you, but I don't want someone teaching me their version of the Word of God that they have no earthly plan or intention of following. So, and I believe that their very behavior is a result of their genetics, their genetic makeup. Just like there's different blood types, I believe that there's different genetic markers, genetic makeups. Some we would call good, some we would call evil. Patricia, you say, do you think maybe trauma or chemicals? You say, I don't know. Well, that's a good answer. But when you think about DNA, I mean, when you think about how powerful it is and how incredibly resilient it is, and it has to be, and it's literally the building blocks of life itself. It would take something of equal or greater power to affect it, to change it. And I believe that one of those things, one of those powers, will be a cosmic gamma ray that will be from a, if you think about it, will be from a, maybe an exploding star, a star collapsing on itself, becoming a black hole, and I don't know the mechanics of that, but I'm just saying that when there have been different times that Earth has dodged, I guess you could say, has dodged a direct gamma burst. And if you read about that, it's chilling, because if Earth were hit with a direct gamma burst ray, yeah, we wouldn't fare too well. Would not fare too well. It would just it would really cause, well, I think it would be maybe one of those planetary extinctions. Who knows? But I do know that we've been hit by, maybe not directly, but we've certainly been hit by gamma rays. Maybe not a burst on that magnitude, but could it be that we are being hit more and more frequently by these gamma bursts and these cosmic rays? And was it like, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, they were talking about a hole being in the ozone, and the Earth's magnetic shield was slowly creeping away, or slowly eroding. And they said that if the magnetic shield, which, you have to look at Earth as a battery, North Pole positive, South Pole negative. When you look at the electromagnetic energy, or when you look at the cosmic rays, when they hit the Earth, it's like a fountain. Goes from the north down to the south, and it comes back up to the north. It's like one of those fountains you buy and put water in, and it just, keeps going. But I'm with Tesla on the Earth being a big battery. What is its core? Well, iron. Iron is a big part of it, and then you've got clay, you've got molten rock, lava, whatever, and earth, which is a great insulator. So, yeah, I can see it as being a huge battery, which makes me think about the other planets, not the gas planets, but the other planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars. They have a north and south pole. What's at their core? What's their core made of? Is it iron? I don't know. But I do know that Earth could have provided everyone with free electricity if Tesla had his way. But the moneymakers said, no, that's not going to happen. Not going to stand for it. Not going to have it. We're going to make the money. And that was that. He was shut down. So, other things, and I'm glad that you brought that up, Patricia, because you say chemicals. Well, we don't know what chemicals are capable chemicals are capable of being created. Now, it is my belief that there are chemicals, if you want to call them that aren't really chemicals, and could not be defined as chemicals. Rather, they're nanotechnology. Now think about that, nanotechnology. We say chemicals, that's fine. I mean, but it's actually nanotechnology. They have robots now that, I mean, they're microscopic. It was said, and I saw the picture, and I don't know how much truth there was to it, but this was years ago, that the United States were talking with some Japanese scientist or whatever, about technology, and the United States scientist, they sent the Japanese scientist I believe it was a titanium plate that had a hole that was drilled through it that was less than the diameter of a human hair. And they thought, wow, we're going to blow their mind. Well, they wound up being the recipients of having their minds blown, because the Japanese sent it back. They had filled it in, and they had drilled multiple holes in the drill hole that the United States, multiple holes. And this is less than the diameter of a human hair, through like titanium. That's small. That's so small that what I'm saying is there's nanotechnology now that is that small. So when you have robots that small, you could put them in a drink. You could drink these robots. Yeah, these mechanical robots or whatever, and not even know it. When I say mechanical, we tend to think of mechanical as being nuts and bolts, right? My question is when do we stop thinking that way? When do we start viewing mechanical as also silicone, carbon, artificial intelligence, robotic? It doesn't necessarily have to be nuts and bolts and steel to be mechanical. It's like I said before, I believe the human body is mechanical, but it's not made up of nuts and bolts and metal per se, like the Terminator or whatever. Now that really creepy Sophia and her Dr. Evil sounding brother Han or whatever his name is, they're prime examples of this. I mean, that Han, there's not much that like creeps me out, but I'm serious. I would let old Han walk in, which he was created 10 years before Sophia, so he's had time to develop like an attitude um, and be really creepy. Like his creepy factor is through the roof. I mean, he like knocked the ball out of the park. I would be, if I saw him walk in, I would be like asking where the exit was, because I would not want to hang around. Mainly because I just have this knack, or I used to, of it's like if there's ever a if there's ever bombs going off or um, shots being fired, don't run to me. Run away from me, because I am going to draw fire. And I don't know why, but it's always been that way. Draw fire, draw anger, draw violence, but have never been shot, never been stabbed, never even really been hit. Not hurt at all. But I've had it going on all around me. I don't know. That's very strange. And there again, is that something that, and I'm not just asking you that are taking part in the live chat now, I'm asking people that are listening to the replay of this, my wonderful YouTube, you guys are great. I mean, thank you so much. It's I went over, I believe it's up to 2,085 plays now, that, and this is on YouTube alone, and that's great. Thank you so much. But I'm asking you also, does that kind of thing happen to you, where it's like I told Mona when we first met, I said I don't like to go to clubs. I said because I have this something. I said I can be sitting by myself, not bothering anybody, and I said every time there will be some guy that he'll be drunk or he won't be drunk. He could be, he could be the best guy on the planet, but there's something about me. Hey, I've got to go and give this guy trouble. And I told Mona, and I don't think she believed me until I told her. I said, okay. I said, it was actually when we were dating, and at her place, and her roommates were having a party, and I told her I don't have anything to do with it. I'll just stay in the bedroom. She says, no, let's. And I told her, and I don't blame her for not believing me if she didn't. I mean, it sounds crazy. But lo and behold, it was a couple of hours, and I find myself with a woman has her finger in my face, and she's calling me every name in the book, and she's telling me to get out of the house. And when she got up in my face and was acting like that, I certainly felt threatened, and she was drunk, and I was like, well, this isn't going to turn out very well. So I told her, to calm down or shut her mouth or something. I don't know. But anyway, her husband or boyfriend heard that. So now I've got two women and her boyfriend that are like surrounding me. And I was trying to leave, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going through that door regardless. The first, and I'm seriously thinking this because, these people, yes, Mona, you don't play around like that. If you play around, you're going to get hurt. And I'm thinking, okay, the guy's going to go first, and he's going to go down hard. And then, unfortunately, the women are too, because I could see it. Take the guy out first, and both women are going to jump on me, and who knows, they might have knives or whatever. It was crazy. So I told Mona, I said, do you believe me now? Do you see why I did not want to even, be there? And she said, yes, like the angel she is. And she backed me up. And they were telling me, they said, you don't even know Mona. I said, oh, yes, I do. I said, I know her better than you do. We've known her for years. She's family. And I said, well, you don't know her as well as I do. He said, well, you've only known her for a couple of months. I said, I was really freaking them out. I'm like, yeah, but time doesn't apply to me. And they're like, what? And I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, when this is over, I said, I'll leave here with Mona. And they said, that'll never happen. We won't let her leave with you. Well, as I love the phrase, I should have said to him, hold my beer. Because that night, Mona and I left together. Well, Mona, Sawyer, and I. We all left together. And they're all left with their mouths hanging open. They could not believe that it had happened that way. And I'm looking at them like, told you so. So, I'm not bragging or anything. I'm just saying that that's how it was. But what are the chances, is what I'm asking, have any of you experienced just unwarranted animosity? Like you have somebody that's normally, they're pretty, they're not crazy or anything. And next thing you know, you turn around and there's somebody just staring at you like they hate your guts. And they're about to physically attack you. Their anger is so bad. Unprovoked. Has that happened to you? If it has, please feel free to share in the chat or call. And listening to the replay, those of you listening to the replay, send me an email about it. I would like to know. The Texas Podcast at gmail.com. Crazy. But that has always been something that I've had to deal with. So, anyway. So we have the gamma ray bursts that could cause the latent or the junk DNA to be I don't know, to be activated. What would it mean if our DNA, if all of our DNA was activated? Patricia, you say, I'm not sure. Wait. Mona says, wait, so does this relate to the government and having to go green? Very well could. Yes, very well could. Patricia, you say, I'm not sure, Mona. I was kind of thinking like radiation or something with the chemicals. Well, radiation is something that damn sure affects our DNA. Damn sure affects our genetics. Is it harmful? Yes. But it does affect or change our DNA. Excuse me. So, man, it could be radiation, because think about how often movies and books they're trying to tell us something. Remember the movie V, where he was put through radiation. Over and over and over, and he developed like extraordinary strength from the radiation, whereas it killed most of the other prisoners. It didn't kill him. It made him stronger because of his genes, his genetics. And he became the freedom fighter, whatever you want to call it. And it was said in the movie that he had no eyes, and it was it's creepy. I mean, it was just really creepy to see this this like a monster that had been burned and no eyes, but he could still see. So is he seeing through his third eye? Something's going on. It's crazy, but radiation, yes. And how much radiation are we subjected to every day? No telling. What about on that topic? Think about Fukushima. Think about how much radiation we're being bombarded with from Fukushima alone. Probably never know really what the actual level is. I mean, they're going to lie to us. They're not going to say, well, it's really bad, Bob. We've got the Gulf Stream, and it's just, as you can see on the map, it's glowing green and glowing in the dark, and yeah, that's not gonna make it to prime time. You'd have people committing suicide driving 90 miles an hour, jumping out of buildings, off bridges, and it'd be crazy. So, in that case, what would they do? They would I would keep it quiet if it was me, and, well, no, I wouldn't. I would tell the truth and let the cards fall where they may. But they're not going to do that. If they did, they would lose control. What they're going to do is what they always do. They're going to sit back. They're going to let it happen. And they're going to see who survives. Think about that. They're going to see who survives. What do you think will happen to someone who survives something like that? Radiation of that, like, massive amounts of radiation. Well, they're certainly not going to be ignored. They're going to be picked out. They're going to be used for God only knows what.
Mona, you say, I didn't know that was radiation, thought it was something to turn their brain into goo. Are you talking about Fukushima? Fukushima is the nuclear power plant that was when the tidal wave, when the earthquake hit and the tidal wave hit Japan on 3/11. We have 9/11, then we've got 3/11 in Japan. Oh, the movie V? No. It was radiation. Massive doses, doses, treatments, radiation exposure. And, they were brainwashed in very, the usual mind control techniques. And if you remember, Natalie Portman, V himself kidnaps her, and he's very well acquainted and knows exactly how they do it, and that's what he did to her. He had a prison, built that was like their prison. He had their soldier outside the door, which was a mannequin. He was the one who tormented her like a sadistic guard would that was working for the powers that be. Why did he do that? And I'm glad you brought that up, because that brings me to a very, very important point. Why did he do that? He put her through hell, humiliated her, isolated her, broke her. Why did he do that? And I'll answer that when we come back, when I finish the story, the parable, with Anthony Hopkins in the movie, where he was living with the gorillas, with Cuba Gooding Jr., and when I come back, I will have the name of that movie for you all. And Don't go anywhere. And as usual, I will be back in 3 minutes.
Like a cool drop of rain coming down from a clear sky. Yeah. Like a honeybee taking off that really shouldn't fly. Yeah. Like a snowflake falling down on a summer day. It's just amazing. It's a million to one, million to one. It really couldn't be. Oh, 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 oh. You're my kind of one of a kind. Oh, 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 oh. I'm gonna get out there and say it, 'cause there ain't gonna be one more like you, no. Ain't gonna be, ain't gonna be, ain't gonna be one more like you, no. Ain't gonna be, ain't gonna be. I could search high and low, but I know, I know, I know, I know, I know that there ain't gonna be one more like you, no. You're my kind of one of a kind. Like a black swan swimming about in a sea of white. Yeah. Like a bouncer Saturday night acting really nice. That can't be right. Like the most beautiful girl in the world hitting up your phone. It's so wrong. It's a million to one, million to one. It really couldn't be, really shouldn't be. Oh, 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 oh. You're my kind of one of a kind, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. I'm gonna get out there and say it, 'cause there ain't gonna be one more like you, no. Ain't gonna be, ain't gonna be, ain't gonna be one more like you, no. Ain't gonna be, ain't gonna be. I could search high and low, but I know, I know, I know, I know, I know that there ain't gonna be one more like you, no. You're my kind of one of a kind. It ain't gonna be. Oh, 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 oh. One of a kind.
And I'm back. Okay, the movie Anthony Hopkins has been arrested or has been captured. He's shackled to the floor by his ankles, and he's handcuffed in the front. He's sitting at a table, and Cuba Gooding Jr. comes in to interrogate him or something. And it doesn't take long before something happens, and Anthony Hopkins jumps over the table, much like a gorilla would, and grabs Cuba Gooding Jr. with the handcuffs. Like I said, he was handcuffed in the front, around his throat. And as he is choking the life out of him, he tells Cuba Gooding Jr. he's going to give him 3 chances to take the pencil and write down on a piece of paper the answer to his question. And the question was, what have I taken from you. And he's choking him to death. I mean, Cuba Gooding Jr. cannot breathe. He is scared. He's dying. And he writes down, "My freedom." And Anthony Hopkins tears the paper up, throws it on the floor. "Wrong. What have I taken from you?" And he writes down something else like, "My life." "Wrong." Tears the paper up, throws it on the ground. He says, "Last chance." And I believe he was really going to kill him if he didn't get it right. So, last chance. "What have I taken from you?" Cuba Gooding Jr. is crying now. And he writes the answer, the correct answer. And Anthony Hopkins lets him go. The correct answer that he wrote to the question, "What have I taken from you?" was "my illusions." You're not free. And it's not, of course, I'm not complaining. I'm just simply stating a fact. You're not free to do what you want to do, even if it's not hurting anyone else. If you think you're free, try something as simple as not wearing your seatbelt. No. You're going to receive a ticket. You're going to get a ticket. Because that's the law. You're not free. What are you a prisoner of? And this is something we talked about last night. What are we prisoners of in life? We say we're prisoners of our job. We're prisoners of our finances, our bills. We're prisoners of our health. We're prisoners of this. We're prisoners of that. We're imprisoned by this or that. But it's like I told Mona the other day. What we're imprisoned by, what wears on us more, what imprisons us more than anything is time. Time. The clock. Ticking trap. What imprisons us? What puts us in that prison, that, I don't know, that prison of time, in time's prison? What puts us in that oppression, that constant, your alarm clock goes off, you get up, you take your shower, you get dressed, you go to work, you eat lunch at a certain time. It's called routine. You get into a routine, and I have watched men and women that were in that routine that they actually thought that was
that was life, that they were free. I'm sorry, but I'm not downing them in the least. Matter of fact, I admire them because my own father, my own mother, grandmother, grandfather, and my entire family, same way. They believed that they were free, that they were living life, when in fact life was living them. When people fall into habit, routine, it becomes something dangerous. And the danger is how comfortable it becomes. Why is it comfortable? Because you know what's coming. And you know what's not coming. For me, that would be hell. The monotony. I mean, just, I would opt to not know any day. Surprise me. But I watch people that, I guess you would call them the workers. You know, just like I don't know, like, here I go again, like a Sims game or something. You have your workers, you have your workforce, you have your managers. Well, my family, they were workers, and most of them worked all their lives, and gave the company the best years of their life. And they worked for their retirement, they saved for it and everything. And when they retired, they had worked so hard and had given so much, there was nothing left. And they died with, I don't know, $250,000, $500,000 in retirement. But it doesn't mean a damn thing when you're dead. You're not going to use it when you're dead. And I have noticed that most of the time when, especially men, when they retire, they have a tendency to die. Whether it be cancer or heart attack or whatever. Why? Because they have sacrificed themselves and not even realizing it. Why? Because they're brainwashed. Mind control. It just takes one generation for mind control to be effective and be used. And, buddy, that's the truth. Just imagine fathers telling their sons, mothers telling their daughters, this is what you do. You go to school, you graduate from school, you may go to college, you may not, but you get a job and you keep that job no matter what. And you work, and you make a good worker, and you take pride in your job. You respect your superior, you respect your employer. And it's like, I'll respect my employer But if my employer is treating me like a dog, that respect ends there. I am not, yeah, I'm a loyal employee, but I draw the line. And the line, I've drawn that line before, and it's like, it's not a problem. But back in the day, there were, look at the coal miners. These guys didn't even see daylight. You think that their foremen or their bosses or the owners of the mines, do you think they gave a damn about these guys never seeing daylight? And they knew at some point, they knew that these guys were dying, or were going to die from the exposure to the mines, and hell, the mines weren't safe to begin with. But why did they do what they did? Why did they keep working under those conditions? Because that's what they had been told by their families or by people that they respected or looked up to. That's what you do. And in some cases, when someone says, no, that's really not what you do. You don't have to do that. Can you imagine if someone had have lived back in the time when it was like child labor and there was no set work day. I mean, work for 16 hours and just horrible. What do you think would have happened to somebody like myself that would have I probably would have had the life expectancy of a housefly, because I would have been the first one that would have said, well, actually, that's not what I do, simply because where is it written that we have to do that? Why can't we go somewhere else? Hell, why can't we plant a garden? Why can't we be farmers? Why can't we do this? Why does it have to be a certain trade or a certain occupation? Well, that's just tradition. That's the way it's always been. Well, you know what? It's time for a change. And I believe that is what is happening now, or what is getting ready, what is about to happen, is, I said all that to say this, that the world has reached the point to where that we've been brainwashed. Our minds have been controlled. And there are some people that see it and see it for what it is, and they're saying, it doesn't have to be this way. It does not have to be this way. It can be better. It can be different. And is it going to cause problems? Yeah, it's going to cause a lot of problems. Big problems. No one likes a visionary. Well, they do it first. But after a while, the visionary is inherently, at their core, they're revolutionary. They're a rebel. They're free. And they want others to feel that freedom also. They want others to be free. At least that's how I see it. That's how I feel. And so it's like, what happens? Well, someone speaks up, takes a stand, and things begin to happen, because in our very genetic makeup, and I believe this 100%, I believe that the proverbial book of life, where everything is written, people say when they've had like a near-death experience, their entire life flashed before their eyes. Well, what could be the apparatus that records their entire life? What apparatus or what computer has the power to play someone's life back to them in a flash? My bet would be DNA. And I believe that the book of life is written in our DNA. Every one of us. The Bible says God is the creator, is the author and finisher of our faith. I believe that everything that has happened, is happening now, and that will happen is written or encoded in our very DNA. So, what I believe is, in some people, their latent DNA, junk DNA, is being activated, maybe by the Creator Himself, maybe by the Source, whatever you want to call God, the Source, the Creator, the life, the light. Maybe it's being activated by Him. Maybe it's being activated by, I don't know, aliens. Does it matter? Because the way I see it, whoever or whatever is activating it, they're doing it for our own good. Because there's going to be people that are going to, I guess I could say, people that are going to fill the role as it's written. If this is a screenplay, which it very much seems like that's exactly what it is. It's this drama. And our DNA has been written for each one of us, and it's like it's activated and we react. We do what the only thing we can do, what we're programmed to do. Freedom? Choice? What if choice is an illusion? What if choice is a very elaborate, convincing illusion? What if it's a lie? What if you really don't have choice? You just believe you have choice. And this is getting deep. What if every choice you've ever made had already been made for you? You were just led to believe that you were making it. Well, that would be the way that I would control a society. That would be the way that I would control a planet full of people. That would be the way that I would gain the upper hand, is that very way. Exactly. So, what are your thoughts on that? Any thoughts on that? While you're thinking about that, I just want to add that the DNA is, of course, made up of the 22 amino acids. There's the 22 Hebrew letters, and in the Kabbalah, actually, the Book of Splendor. I'm sorry, not the Book of Splendor. That's the Zohar. The Book of Formation says that God, the Creator, created the world and everything in it, and everyone in it, by using the 22 Hebrew letters to do so. And for years and years, thousands of years, the Book of Formation was, well, it was never printed. It was never even spoken aloud. It was whispered in the ear. It's what Kabbalah literally means, to, I believe it's to pass down orally, to transfer knowledge, like a secret. But nothing was ever written down until later. And so there's people that say that if the secrets of the Book of Splendor, the Hebrew letters, and the activation of those letters, which very well may be, I believe that they are a blueprint, a pattern of our very own DNA. And it may be that the Hebrew letters themselves are what activate our latent DNA. The spoken word, the tone, the way that words are said, emphasis on certain letters, sounds. Tesla said, think of things in terms of vibration and frequency. So he was good, wasn't he? He was good. So, anyway, your thoughts on that? What if it was that the Hebrew alphabet, each Hebrew letter, when put in certain sequences and spoken aloud, what if those frequencies of each letter were the key to activate our DNA? Now, this is something that is very telling also, is that the highest concentration of people who have Rh negative blood are the Basque people in northwest Spain, northern Spain. That's like a 40 mile square mile. Very, very, I think it's like 40%, as much as 40% of the Basque population are Rh negative. And no one knows where that comes from, really. I mean, it's crazy. So, that is just, when the world population is 15% at the most, and you have the Basque people at 40%, that's such a small area, with a language that has no known origin. It's different from any other language. There again, we're back at the spoken language. Could it be that the Basque language, there's something inherent about the Basque language that somehow activates certain parts of certain genes, certain DNA that's latent, and that's why they have such a high percentage of Rh negative people, with Rh negative blood? I have no idea. But I do find it odd that it's such a mystery and very strange that their language is a mystery, as is the Rh negative factor being so prevalent. Also a mystery of why. And hell, even the origin of Rh negative blood is still a mystery. No one can tell you, well, this is why that this is where Rh negative blood comes from. This is its origin. No, that is not true. One thing that I believe fully that can alter or that can activate latent DNA, and I would say in this case it's DNA that I don't know if you would call it dark or you would call it bad, maybe DNA that's not supposed to be activated. But I would say, now this is really going out there, but I would say that methamphetamine is activating some negative latent DNA, because the people that
do it, the people that are addicted to it, they change. They change big time. And if you've ever noticed, when you see people that do meth, that are addicted to meth, for years and years and years, they all begin to look, it's very strange, they all begin to look very, very similar. They're the bones in their face, their skulls, take on this very Cro-Magnon, and you know, I'm not being mean, I'm just telling you the truth. It's even some of the men and women, they become so changed. I mean, you know, you see the pictures of the progression, their bone structure changes, and it's just, it's amazing at how people that aren't even related, they all kind of begin to look alike. Now, maybe it's because, you know, of the weight loss and a skeleton, you know, the skull, the bones look very much alike. Maybe that's it. And but I do find that I have talked to some people doing what I do as far as helping people with deliverance and with the demonic. A lot of those have been people that were doing meth or addicted to meth. And I will say this, that meth is one, well, it's not one, it is the greatest way, and I'm not advising it, I'm actually warning people against it. When you do meth, it's somehow the veil between dimensions, between our dimension and the dimension where these negative interdimensional entities are, if you want to call them demons, interdimensional entities, negative entities, whatever. Meth is a very powerful way to make that veil very, very thin. So thin that they can pass into this dimension. And that's not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. And I have talked to people that were battling meth addiction, and they were telling me that they had dead people in their house, that they had dead people that were following them around, and I mean they really, you know, were they hallucinating? Who knows? But if they saw the person, then a hallucination is not, it's not really the proper term to use, I don't think. Because if I see something that's bothering me,
and I hear it, I see it, I feel it. It's damn sure not a hallucination. It's called actual reality. I mean, it's like, that's probably where the phrase, yeah, it just became real, came from. So, anyway, if you have any thoughts, any ideas, any insight on what other causes, and I know there's many, on what could activate the latent DNA and what the signs would be, what you think the signs would be, the symptoms would be, please send me an email at thetexorcistpodcast@gmail.com and let me know if you have any ideas for future episodes. Let me know. And if you'd like to join me sometime via phone for a show, you choose the topic. Or you'd like to come on the show and share your story or your forte, your niche, what you do or what you practice as far as the paranormal or esoteric or spiritual. Please send me an email or call the show line, and I'll see where you called, and I will give you a call back. Again, the number is 903 956 0055. I want to thank everyone who took part in the live chat for doing so. Thank you, Mona, for looking things up for me tonight when I was kind of at a loss. Thank you, Patricia, for being here. Thank you, Nazreen. And thank you, Elaine. Appreciate all of you. Patricia, thank you. And it is that time, 2 o'clock here in Texas. I'm going to call it a night. And we'll see everyone, hopefully, Thursday night, same time, same place. Love and light to you all. Love you all. Good night from Texas. See you next time.